Hey, what's up, everybody? It's me, Danae, and I'm here with a message for you. Hope you're doing well today. It is Tuesday, October 1st. Happy October to you. Starting to really feel like fall. It's like soon as the coast was clear, the weather said, let's give it all we got. But a nice mild fall. It still was in the low 70s today, which is really nice, and it looks like that outlook for a nice little while before it changes, which I'm very, very thankful for. Love a real fall. But I'm here at this table quite late, which means you probably won't get this message until probably won't upload, or you may not watch it at least until tomorrow, which is the 2nd. But it is still the 1st as we speak. I just had a lot going on today and I couldn't get here early enough, which means that I also am not doing the moon message today. It will be tomorrow, but I also have some things I got to do early tomorrow, which means that it may actually be after the timing of the moon, at least on the East Coast, which is somewhere in the 2 o'clock range. So it's after 2, but definitely before 3. But at some point tomorrow, Lord willing, I will get to the moon message and the new moon reading, which is also, as we know, the partial solar eclipse. So in any event, you can more or less, you could do the research yourself if you really wanted to, if you care enough, or tap into that energy on your own and see what is transmitted to you about what to expect or what to prepare for. But more or less, we've been pretty much on subconsciously preparing for this solar eclipse for a while now, at least as far back as the last partial lunar eclipse, but maybe even before that, to be honest. This is kind of like the closure of a great deal of culminating celestial events that have been occurring probably, I would say, throughout the spring, summer, but maybe even, since the last, well, certainly, yeah, since the last eclipse season and throughout the seasons that followed. So if you're already tapped in and in tune, you already know what time it is, especially with it being in Libra. It's about relationships, it's about contracts, it's about our commitments. It's about love and harmony, and balance, and it's really about bringing closure to a lot of the things that we already began to release, particularly with the support of the lunar eclipse. But it's bringing a new closure to all of that, a finality to some endings, most likely, but also, I think, a dawn of a new beginning as well. So definitely a brighter projection of what now we get to look forward to as we journey on throughout the rest of this fall season and, onward and upward, and what new ideals and even new identity we are fully activated in. What are we acting out of now that the brush is clearing and a lot has been flushed out in the process. So maybe I'll do a message tomorrow, maybe I won't. I don't know. Maybe that is it. But yeah, certainly, if nothing else, Libra is definitely about contracts, connections, commitments, and such, relational energy, but always within before it has anything that reflective, before it's anything reflective without or outside of you. So if you're focused on, treating yourself in the best frequency possible, continuing to maintain a positive outlook and intention for, you know, the purest contractual agreements with yourself and your supreme identity as well, like your spirit man and your human man, that making sure that they're on one accord. Everything else I think is really just smooth sailing. The hardest part is really just forging a commitment with, of a balanced commitment within ourselves, and everything else can attract to that frequency. So that's the hard lifting. And a lot of times the universe is really helping us do the hard part when we are in the flow with it, and just being in tune to the signs and signals that are guiding us accordingly for the greatest good of all. So anyway, let's see what we got today. Seven of Pentacles, definitely about long-term investments, maybe even taking inventory of what you have harvested so far, back kind of in line with what I'm saying, like considering how much work you've put in over this past year, let's say broadly the past year, but you can chop that up into each season if you like, or just the past season, summertime in particular, the summer harvest. Maybe you are still counting or gleaning from what you yielded during that time, or considering what work you may have put in during that time to now harvest in the fall. Whatever you fancy, it's about reflection and also projection, and really considering like what's working for you, what's not, taking inventory of the what do you call it, quality of your harvest, not just so much quantity, even though this is a pentacle card and it's the 7 where he literally is counting on something, but I'm feeling like it's also considering the quality of what you yielded, because for him, he could be looking at just one pentacle out of this bush. However, this pentacle could be worth a great deal. Whatever this is, maybe you just had the diligence and devotions to refine one of your crafts, one of your talents, one of your intentions, one aspect of your business, one personal ideal for, that pertains to you, like, your ideas around health or, fitness or self-care or meditating, prayer, like whatever it is, it might have been a very singular focus, a streamlined focus, and now you may be able to observe the results of your intentions. And I'm feeling to say, despise not small beginnings, because like I said, this one, and perhaps it could have been an expectation to have yielded more in quantity than what has proven itself at this point. But who knows, like it could have been that streamlined effort that refined a crop that is going to be greater than what you had anticipated altogether. It could be that one talent or one gift that you really invested in that could skyrocket or advance your success in ways that really is, more than what more than what you thought you needed to do for yourself to gain more for yourself. And it works the other way projectively as well, that whatever you're focused in on at this point, to allow yourself to appreciate the focus that, is often taken for granted when it's streamlined and what's the right word? Like when you kind of strip it down to its simplified. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you. Like simplified focus and strategy. Feel something on that strategy too. Because what I personally am coming to terms with, can't say I got it all together just yet, but what I have come to terms with is not being so, not feeling so much pressure to stretch myself thin. There are a million and one things that I have intentions to do, like vivid visions to accomplish in this lifetime, so much so that I'm like, how, Lord, how? How in the world am I going to do all that? But sometimes, and to that point, especially in my past, particularly, I would stretch myself thin trying to like chip away at a little of this, a little of that, do a little of this, and then reach back and do that. And I would try to kind of touch on everything that I possibly could get to, for fear of, nothing getting done, or in a kind of a more of an over eagerness to do everything at once, or make sure that I'm at least doing something or a little bit of something of all the things. But in the end, you ultimately just get burnt out, and a lot of times you lose steam, lose interest, lose enthusiasm. You also lose focus on even why you're doing anything anymore. And sometimes that can even put you in a place to kind of be resistant, to do anything, So I learned to really like dial back, streamline my efforts. It doesn't mean that all the other things aren't still a thing, but sometimes to be able to really center your focus on one thing and see that grow, or see it advance or evolve, and is very encouraging, and you can transfer that energy to the other 6 things on the list, as you feel guided to, when you feel like you've actually at least nurtured something to some level of maturity, So there's something in that there. I don't know if if that's you, or if you're more on the back end of observing what you have now, or more projecting what gets to be, or a little bit of both. I would say we all are, if we've been active, intentionally active in any way, shape, or form from the top of this year to now. I'm sure you've had some traction and some movement that is notable. So now moving forward, and to that point, perhaps the streamline and focus of and simplification of strategy may have been to kind of cultivate habit, and even like, what's the right word? Because I want to say this might be a Virgo card, but to almost cultivate like a ritual or a practice, habits pretty much, of your production, like a production practice, there it is, where that mattered more, really kind of refining your habits and your work ethic mattered more than actually how much you took on, or even how much you checked off the list, So there's something to say about that too, which again connects back to despise not small beginnings, because perhaps all of this year has been preparation to refine your work ethic, refine your work habits and strategies, so that when all of this other six, if it be so, does get released and you finally do get to take on all that you've envisioned and have been excited to do so, you'll already have healthy habits in place that will allow you to be highly functional and productive and prosperous. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you, Spirit, for clearing that up. Thank you, thank you. So this even back to the moon energy definitely speaks to the either reestablishment or new establishment of a personal commitment. You know, not just what you do, but how you do things, why you do things, what the projection of your efforts, what's an ideal projection of your efforts, and also the inventory that you take on where you are at this point. Like all of that is process that, you know, once you have the process down, you can transfer that to anything and be organized and efficient in whatever you put your mind to. So perhaps that's a lot of what we've been doing over this past year. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. All right, I'm going to just go straight into it. I'm not going to try to stay long. Let's just get a nice little pyramid going if we can. Well, this came out, well, I did kind of smack it around a little bit, so I'm going to keep it upright. But that was a bit of a struggle. This is air sign energy, but I think it's more Aquarius generally than the other two, but it could be Libra, it could be Gemini, with the Queen of Swords and then the Five of Swords. So this is I don't love that it was a little bit knocked off balance, but to keep it upright is the most positive projection that I would like to transmit, because it makes sense that there may have been a bit of a struggle in light of this Five of Swords energy, which could be some type of like mental projections or some type of interference or intention for interference to impose some insecurity in one's planning and processing. You know, like the Queen of Swords is very intelligent, very direct, very insightful, and objective. So it makes sense that the obstinate energy here with the Five of Swords would want to challenge that, to try to provoke some doubt. There it is, doubt and uncertainty about future projections, you know, or just about where you stand right now. You know, as I started this message saying about, you know, reflecting on harvest of the past up until this point, but this being a solar eclipse is a big projection forward, you know, like it's like a blast from the past. Interesting. And it would make sense that these Five of Swords energies here would want to kind of post themselves up or position themselves to be, this could even literally be objecting thoughts, not objective, objecting thoughts to what you are very quite sure about already, particularly about yourself. So in that reflective process of looking over your harvest, and like I said, that Seven of Pentacles, seeing just the one coin, and maybe these objecting thoughts would be the ones to want to tell you, that's all you got? You've been working all this year and that's all you got to show for it? You might need to do something different, or maybe you ain't doing it right, or maybe what you thought was it ain't it. You know what I mean? This could even be within your own self, to really, as you're at this threshold of a catapult forward, and as you're coming to bring closure to the past, literally a blast from the past, like moving far ahead, maybe even light years ahead from who you've been over the entirety of your life, is what we may be coming up on with this solar eclipse. That's how powerful the energy could be. So it makes sense that these forces would post up to want to challenge that. And it really just is like a projection of what the ego considers to be protection, like to have this confrontation with ideals that may be contrary to who you feel certain and sure of yourself to be at this point, is really just kind of like a testing ground. Like, you sure you ready? You sure you know who you are? You sure you got this? Only for you to stand upright, as I was intentioned to place it, to say yes, absolutely. Because again, and I think that's what was important about what I had to say about honoring the process that you've refined. Because energy such as this, even the ego itself, is more prone to consider material receipts and projections. What evidence do you have to prove your case or build your case? Literally build your case. This could even be like a lawyer, that, like I said, Queen of Swords is very objective, and she is definitely looking for the facts, the figures, and the truth. But what is just as factual and evident really as anything, as I said, is who you've been refined to be energetically, even mentally, your ideals about yourself, even your approach to work and to life in general has changed drastically just over this last year. And that may or may not be reflective in what you tangibly have to show for it, but it makes all the difference in how you are about to catapult through this portal into whatever this new season gets, this new life gets to be for you. So the self-talk can be quieted with the results of your of you in a higher mind. If there is no tangible evidence to refer to, which I'm sure there is if you really think about it, entering Exhibit A, as I said, your process of production that has been refined, that also being admissible in this case, literally. If in fact it doesn't feel so tangible of a reference, there doesn't feel anything tangible to refer to, consider how your ideals about yourself have changed greatly. How objective you are in making decisions, how much you trust yourself to be discerning and decisive in a moment, particularly in moments when, it may have been a challenge, or there may have been a lot on the line to, consider, and how certain and effective you were in your choices, and how empowered you felt on the back end of it, the results of those choices. Even Five of Swords, it can't really hold up much towards somebody that trusts themselves and has every reason to. even the self-talk, the ego, whatever, even if this is literally objectioners from outside of you, meaning other people that have some judgment or criticism toward your identity and who you have established yourself to be. It really is like, it's only as valuable as you say it is, and as I said, you get to decide what of it can be transmuted in the highest good to just further, reassure and reaffirm what you already think. Like, yes, thank you, ego, or thank you, haters, for the confrontation and for the challenge, and for the G check. But guess what? I'm good. We good over here. Yes, I do believe in myself. Yes, I do trust myself. Yes, I do trust my vision. I do trust my insight. Yes, I do stand firm on my word. Yes, I am an honorable and trustworthy person. So there's really nothing that can really corrupt that, at the core, which is beautiful. Yeah, King of Cups. Yeah, and then even the emotional grounding here and mastery, I would even say, to not, to be more objective, but even in the ways that you feel your feelings, to still, again, discern how they get to be applied, how they get to be transmuted, or how that energy gets to be transposed into force fuel for you. Because or even how your emotional energy gets to be translated. There it is. Like to in real time, considering, when these emotions or these thoughts and things arise, if they do, because maybe we just killed it in this message, so that you already know on sight, like, no, you don't. No, you don't. Not today, devil, or Satan, or whatever people say. But to know, like, if it transfers into a feeling where you actually start to, feel that emotion that's attached to that thought, or feel the emotion attached to, that attaches to that thought first, whichever comes first, chicken or the egg, you know exactly how to place it, how to translate it. You can, yourself, your own energy well enough to know, like, okay, I'm feeling this because X, Y, and Z. I'm seeing it this way because I feel X, Y, and Z. Or these emotions are a product of A, B, and C. You know what I mean? So that way you always kind of stay more or less in control, in the best way possible, of your thoughts and feelings, and really stay in a point of mastery over them before they override you. And then that's when this energy, Five of Swords, gets to take the win and go in for the kill. Where before you know it, you're like self-defeating yourself and beating yourself down and talking yourself out of projecting a positive future, because you're not really seeing the past and the present all that clearly. Your emotions are flooding you out, and all of that stuff that is just, what it is for us human beings, you know what I mean? But this is how you exercise your sovereignty in spirit and in truth. So let's see what else we got. Oh, didn't mean to do that, but okay. See what this is. Knight of Swords. Interesting. I mean, I'm sorry, Knight of Wands looking right at his ass. I do that all the time. Heartbreak. Oh, well, that's on its way out. I like that it's going that way. And that's a part of your past as well. Yeah, this like impulsive energy, maybe even lustful. This could even be propositions and temptations that would want to approach, or maybe it's like the passing through, literally, but I feel like it's something representative of perhaps the past, even with the Three of Swords, that may try to approach or to resurface. There it is, the resurface in the present, to kind of try you in this energy of which they may not really believe is all that, secure and authentic. You know what I mean? That's what that Five of Swords energy is giving me, that, like, dang, which is why the Queen of Swords was probably in a struggle. Because it could be energies that are like, oh, they ain't really that healed. They ain't that smart. They ain't that insightful. That, they some energies, even though your own internal ones, might still feel like they got a chance to try you, that you're not quite as evolved as you say you are, because the Queen of Swords is definitely communication as well as thoughts. So it might be some that just don't, that don't believe that you are evolved enough to swerve their swords. Like if they swing, it's as sure of a hit. You know what I mean? Like, some definitely could be energies that are out for nothing good. Like I'm keeping it diplomatic in terms of it being like internal thoughts and considerations, which outside interference could always be a projection of, like, to kind of test your resolve on the inside. But this could actually be physical propositions or confrontations of folks that, just want to try their luck. The Knight of Wands is really not all that mature energetically. Like, he's very overambitious. So someone in the Five of Swords that kind of can't help themselves to have this obsession with winning at all costs, could absolutely want to approach to, cause a disturbance or disruption to, pardon me, your security, and to see what they can actually get away with or get off with, literally. Like what they can come pillage, even if it's your peace of mind. Like, see if they can come pillage and steal and carry it off, into the sunset, never to return again at their will. And that's exactly why it matters most to be super discerning and trustworthy of your natural instincts, to know the potential opponent that you could be facing, even if it's within you, especially when it's within you, because I don't even like this. I don't like the Knight of Wands. I don't like the Five of Swords with the Three of Swords. That's really somebody up to no good, literally looking to be a heartbreaker and to get away with your stuff, as that poem goes. What's that poem? Somebody got away with all my stuff. I don't know is that, like Nikki Giovanni or Gwendolyn Brooks or somebody? It's somebody. I'm gonna have to find that, because that feels significant. I wish I could probably look it up real quick, but I'm gonna keep going. But that's a poem, an older poem that I can hear. And if memory kind of, or energetic memory serves me correctly, it feels like something on the lines of, like, a woman being manipulated or taken advantage of or something like that. Nah, No, you don't. Ain't no, keep your head on a swivel, keep your head on straight. All those analogies matter, to really look your, I hate to call it opponent because there really is no worthy opponent. Not really. Not at this point if you are operating in the frequency that I most resonate with. But to keep your head on straight so that you can see anything that could even be approaching to present itself as an opponent or an enemy. It may think it's more of an enemy and an opponent than you actually revere it to be, but it doesn't mean that you don't still need to be on the defensive about it to some degree. And this is making head over heart decisions to not be allured into the temptations of lust and immediate gratification, especially over particularly what we've been talking about, the projection of a long-term harvest. And especially if this is relational, as Libra season and this eclipse and new moon may actually be, you don't want to settle for something that could be fleeting and have the potential to actually leave a long-term stain on the best of you, especially having cultivated that over this past year. That identity, that presence, like coming out 2 for 2 today. And look, here go another night. No way. And this is definitely the finesser. So why the judgment? The justice. And then because it could be that maybe it'd be multiple propositions. There's that, and you really got to be discerning. But I'm also, now that the justice is here under the Queen of Swords, this is really giving some type of, it could actually be a case, a legal case. In what way, though? Where somebody is really trying to defeat the truth with lies, with the 5 of Swords, and maybe even trying to finesse the justice system here, again, getting away with somebody's stuff with the 5 of Wands and trying to manipulate the system in their favor. 7 of Pentacles. This could even be somebody that, if it is a matter of like a real case or some type of settlement or something or another, someone trying to offer something that is much less than what is due to someone, or presenting an offer as if that's the best they can do or the best they have, when I'm seeing that 7 of Pentacles when they got like 6 more in the bank, like 6 more in reserve that really are all due to you too, but somebody's trying to like, here you go, like take this one and get the hell on, when it's like, I want all that too. Yeah, give me it all. No, ain't no, Ain't no, it could even be a matter of someone trying to forge a settlement that would pretty much bring closure to a case or close a case in a very imbalanced way, though, is what I'm feeling, where this person that is forging this settlement, it's almost like, here, take this, but if you take that, that's all you get, when really you're due to have all of that and more, certainly more than what's being offered to you. So yeah, it could be somebody trying to pull a fast one in a settlement, like, and it could even look like it's like, Seven of Pentacles, like, oh, okay, this is a nice little piece of change. Like, I'll be all right with this. But I say, if this resonates at all and you're in any type of negotiations or arbitration or whatever, like, be shrewd in your negotiation, or just in establishing very clearly, as the Queen of Swords does, directly, your expectations, or your even your price, if it's a matter of something like that, where somebody's trying to kind of like, give you less than what you're worth. And it's nice, but it ain't what you're worth. And it's almost with the expectation that, oh, she'll take it. She's a woman, or you know what I mean, or she's this, or she's that, or she ain't never been paid this much to do such and such, or never been paid this much at all for that case. But it's like, that don't matter. I know that I'm worth what my price is. And if you're not willing to pay me at my rate, then we can't do business. And as a matter of fact, that's a major red flag if we're talking about a professional. Remember, I talked about contracts, commitments, considerations. This could be relational, this could be professional, this could be creative, could be somebody that wants to forge some type of collaboration with you, but really they just want you to do all the work and they kind of glean all the rewards. Any of that imbalance is like a dead red flag at this time. Like, you can't even make concession for it, really. If somebody's willing to come to you like half-ass to get more, to take more than what they're willing to give, it's almost an automatic like, nah, I can't even take the chance on getting into bed with you, literally or figuratively. If you're going to lie to me about some aspects of your past, it's a nah. Even if it's small stuff, no. If you're going to omit things, important things that should be disclosed in any type of relationship or connection or commitment or contract, it's going to be a nah. And the Queen of Swords, not for nothing, especially if we're talking about on a spiritual level, like I said, is insightful and has foresight. So there's like this hint of telepathy there with the Queen of Swords and any of the air sign qualities, where you can't really pull too much wool over her eyes, even if you try to, because at some point it will be revealed or you'll be exposed one way or another, whether the universe does it for her, whether she does it, through her own investigation or discernment or deduction. You cannot pull a lie over on the Queen of Swords. So if you have anyone that's coming to you half-assed, willing to finesse the truth or to try to seduce you into something that doesn't feel right or doesn't feel fair, that's an automatic like chop, cut, no, cannot continue. No, we cannot have a second date. No, I don't want to just be friends. No, I don't want to support your business. No, I don't want your investment in mine. Like, no. That's how, like, if we're talking about cutthroat, that's how cutthroat it's necessary to be at this point in time, because like I said, we're talking about seven of Pentacles, whether you've already obtained a great deal of a harvest or whether you are looking forward to that production and prosperity. Security of the most supreme nature is important at this time. And that's also in alignment with the refinement of your processing and your procedures, your, what's a good word? Like your business practices, whatever it is, business practices, professional practices, spiritual practices, personal practices, your own code of ethics, and your own, or your own moral code, like whatever it is. It's like, as the Queen of Swords, the encouragement is that you not make concessions for it, and you not negotiate below that standard at all. At all. Look at this, the Lovers, the highest of the high, because you have, again, refined yourself in such a way that you know what you're worth, you know what you're in the market to attract on any level. You know your value, you know what's a match and what's ideal, what's in alignment with you. And also, you answer to a supreme source one way or another. In some way, shape, and form, there's something that you answer to that's beyond the mere physical essence of life. That there's a greater purpose and ideal here, so that everything matters. Nothing can be taken for granted. Nothing can be forsaken. Nothing can be dismissed. Everything that you do is a direct connection to the soul of you, if you're in this frequency. So therefore, there is no settlement. There are no excuses. And even again, within yourself, when you feel yourself slipping away from that supreme aspiration of you, that you reel yourself back in to consider the truth, to realign yourself with the truth. So all bases are covered, whether this is outside obstinance or inside obstinance. It's, it's like always on trial here, always under deep consideration, always. Always being prosecuted in one way or another. Yeah, get these damn knights out of here. All right, I'll probably do another row, but let me get something on the other side of the Knight of Cups. The World card, yep, and that's the end of that. That's the end of that. We leaving those half-ass agreements right in the past where they belong. That's exactly what's being sold up, so that you won't settle for less for yourself, and it really will kind of shut it down more or less from lesser offers to even be able to make their way to you anymore. Like, it's something about, I'm feeling like something on this. That's why it feels like this mad dash, last ditch effort to approach, the bench, so to speak. Like, people trying to, plead their case, maybe to some degree, like to explain their side, to share their truth. They're really, the only source is the Five of Swords, and we know he's a liar. So it's really a distortion of truth or some twisted narrative, period. But trying to explain their actions and, to maybe even offer apologies or condolences or some small offer or gesture of love, like, and or even some small expression of desire. If we're talking about anything, actually, we could be talking about business, intimacy, romantic, platonic. It could be any way that folks may want to spin the block to, again, kind of test your intelligence, in some ways insult your intelligence in this case, to see what they may be able to get away with, what you might actually believe, or what you might accept for the purposes of wanting to, again, bring a settlement, a closure. I can feel that now. So figuratively, in this communication exchange, it could absolutely be people in that regard wanting to offer some type of truce, or like they want to bring closure to perhaps what has been some type of like contempt or distorted connection of sorts, where you're pretty stable on where you stand. Maybe some others may not be so much. They desire some different outcome, and this could be like an intention for reconsideration of connections, relationships, friendships, commitments, contracts, whatever form they take, to be reestablished, maybe even in some new form, but I haven't seen any representative here that would be worthy of truly reestablishing a connection with the Queen of Swords. Not one. Not the Knight of Wands, not the Knight of Cups, certainly not the Five of Swords. And if any of these energies are connected, it's definitely a no. Because the Justice, the only thing that's aligned with the Justice is the Queen of Swords herself, which could say that whatever it is, here it is again, whatever you were decisive about before, you were completely justified in your reasoning and in that logic. Even if you haven't necessarily had evidence for it at this point, you may be about to have all the evidence, more evidence than you want to have. Like all types of stuff is being exposed nowadays. But even if you didn't, it's really saying that now I feel that in a different way with that Seven of Pentacles. Like whatever it is that you were decisive about, however you saw fit to kind of cleanse your energetic field for the purposes of prosperity and productivity, refine that process of even relationships and how you connect with people or don't, as you're also filtering out the unfavorable, or how you first realign and recommit with yourself, reestablishing that connection first and that contract first. And now, here's why I say you've already done a great deal to consider yourself to be accomplished, because without perhaps any just cause to do what you did, you're finding now that it was absolutely necessary and justified. And the energies that may want to present their case for reconnection or connection at all would really have to come in that lover's frequency to at least be intentional to match your vibration before there could be any cause for consideration at this point. It's like the world has turned and closed on the days when you would consider being open-hearted to people that either won't mean you any good, or don't have the capacity to truly be open-hearted or reciprocal to you, or that have proven themselves to not be in alignment. After you've had the proof, and then you double back and give people chances, or readjust yourself to be defensive but still connected still. And it's like you would think you're fully protected, but are you really? Because to even be engaged in a connection where you have to be defensive and have to kind of sleep with one eye open or keep your sword drawn at all times, it's like, for what? Why who does that benefit but the person that is on the other side of that connection? It certainly doesn't benefit the one who has to be defensive within it, so there's no justification for putting yourself in those positions anymore, even if there is any emotional connection or familiar, I meant to say familiar, but familial, perhaps, connection. You've already established a standard, and you're secure within that standard, and now of all times would not be the time to feel in any way uh, challenged or like what's the right word, like to feel to like second guess that certainty, to be swayed into anything else. But because the Queen of Swords can be very stern, like some say even a bit calloused and emotionless, and the way that mental manipulation could work in that regard to attempt to be effective would be to challenge that, like you're almost being too cold, too mean, you're heartless, you don't care, you don't love me, you don't, to kind of like make attacks like that three of swords, to like attack your heart space as if it doesn't exist, and almost like try to psych you into feeling like, well, maybe I am being a little mean, maybe I'm being too cold, I'm being too calculated, I'm being too defensive, but no, you're not. I'm here to tell you, no, you're not. If you had any cause for pause before, you have all the cause for pause now. And there's not a lot of room for reconsideration for things that you've already built a case for. There was a reason that you took the stance that you did, and you made you took the objections that you made, the objections that you did, and you established boundaries that you did. And now would not be the time, especially not for these lesser energies, to go back on that, to retract that. It actually could be quite dangerous at this time. And whatever this World card is, I feel like it's the confirmation that's needed to know, and it's like, it may come on the back end of people trying to show up and, like I said, last minute plead their case, even if the judge, because I did say judgment by mistake earlier when I said justice, when I saw justice, but even after judgment calls have already been established, it might be, some appeals that are being filed to reconsider. And the World card really is closing that cycle for you if you can't do it for yourself. So I certainly wouldn't open any appeals against what the universal order has already established judgmentally. It's no love lost to anyone, but at this point, you have to consider, your own personal security and protection, and the harvest that is attached to that, past, present, and future. No. Sorry. Not sorry, actually. Yeah, 9 of Cups, like, fulfilled as you are, where you are. Nothing to be desired but except for what the divine ordains for you to acquire. And all that's already being closed out, I'm sorry, more than likely is not a part of that package. Let me just get 2 more. That means it would be really tough for a past, like this is a strong forward motion, advancement. It would be really, really, it would be tough for the past to make a case for its presence, and certainly to be, any staple in the projection of the future. But it definitely, and that's not the case, definitely across the board for everyone and everything, but certainly in the ways that these energies are showing up, where there's some withholding, maybe even some lies and illusions, some competition, maybe a little bit of jealousy, somebody that's over anxious, maybe super competitive, lustful still, a little bit, aloof and untrustworthy or uncommitted, unreliable, someone that is maybe too sensitive or overly emotional and doesn't really have a balance in their emotional selves, could even translate as anger at times, but or just unstable, like could be cool, calm, and collected 1 minute and then blow up the next. Like none of these energies with no reason at that, like everybody has their thing about them and we're all growing and evolving, but I'm talking about those that, what I really feel is people that ultimately haven't really changed much. That's what these night energies are given. Like you are sitting in the Queen of Swords energy, someone highly intelligent, prominently established, refined in whatever special skills and craft that you do. And nights are given that there's still some development needed. And that's a recipe for a disaster between a partnership of any kind, because it is a breeding ground for jealousy and for competition and ultimately, a potential for manipulation. It's not advancing for either or both parties. And the world card said, nah, we got things to do. You ain't got time to be making special considerations and concessions for people that have potential, mind you. Night's got all the potential in the world in this frequency. Doesn't mean they're even all bad or bad people or bad ideas or bad opportunities, but does it align with where you are? Can you justifiably say that this is something that will contribute to my advancement on this accelerated trajectory of which I've already said this is like a blast from the past, that you're about to be on a trajectory that you are only just probably barely equipped to keep up with, let alone trying to drag somebody on that frequency with you. It's just not going to go. Wow, the death card. It's just not going to go. Ain't no way. There's no room for it. And it actually, what I'm getting is it will put that advancement and that progression to a screeching halt to even try. So that's the way the universe is like, I said, no, I'm already ending this for you. Now, if you try to go against that will and your own right and say, well, I want to have it anyway, or I'm going to try it out, I'll see what happens, you'll see a lot of things in your life come to an end. Money, joy, peace, productivity, maybe businesses, maybe health, may see a decline. Like every way in which you were on the path to just like skyrocket onward and upward will all of a sudden come to a screeching halt. And if you're unwise, you'll be wondering why. But if you are wise and you knew better anyway, you'll know exactly why. And then at that point, of course, we'll have the responsibility to make the adjustments accordingly. All right, one more and let's get out of here. Ooh, Judgment came out. Shut up. This is also swift justice with the Eight of Wands. Yeah, so it's like, wow, this is wild. Judgment came out after all of that. So I didn't talk it up for nothing, so I don't need to walk it like a dog, I guess, because I already kind of touched on it. But yeah, it's like, everything that has already been well accounted for. What's been working for you, what hasn't been, everything's been carefully considered, even way above your own personal discernment. And there's been a judgment that has been passed down, maybe even telepathically through your personal insight to inspire you to know, yes, that's what it was. It was like the judgment. Ooh, that's deep. That's good. So remember I said like you were already kind of operating in a discernment that you didn't even really have. At times you may not have had evidence for. Like there were certain things that you were guided to do or say or be or whatever, like people to sever ties with or disconnect with, things to stop doing, ways to stop thinking about yourself or about life or your surroundings. And you didn't really have a lot of like hardcore cold evidence for it in the present moment. You were just, really operating in trust for the guidance you were receiving. But that's what was being passed down. This judgment, this higher judgment was being passed down telepathically, as I said, from a greater source, a higher force. And you were just executing it, literally. You were executing it. And that was kind of part of the testing ground as to how you would ultimately, remember I was talking about refining your practices, refining your process, how you work, your ethics, all of that good stuff, your habits. What you were being refined, the way you were being refined was by way of that judgment that was being filtered through your insight, and the testing ground that ultimately I think is what is the determining factor of what gets to be released of that Seven of Pentacles, how you get to now project or be projected and advance forward through this blast from the past, was on account of how you executed that assignment and that authority, more or less. So what you were doing, you didn't really always know why, but you were doing it, and your rate of execution and the process that you refined through that experience or through that evolving is what ultimately kind of like it like kind of proved your readiness and or like your qualifications and maybe even credentials, maybe was even earning the credentials to now be trustworthy, because that's a word I kept using, with all that the divine is ready to impart to you now and in a physical, tangible form. There it is. That's really interesting. So yeah, this swift judgment of swift justice is already, been decreed and activated, and it's like literally like the past is catching up with the present and now projecting you forward. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but I feel that so profoundly. This judgment card. I want to say that better. It's like the justice is catching up with the judgment that was already decreed, but the judgment was being imparted through you as the upright, honorable being, and like kind of, like the judge, the jury, and the executioner that you were in human form. Like you were already kind of like exacting a spiritual judgment in the 3D world in ways that you may not even realize you were doing so. But you definitely were, and it was all off of like insight and intuition and impulse and faith, to put it quite plainly, faith and trust, even in the things that you didn't have evidence for or guarantee for, and just operating in the most supreme essence of your integrity. There it is, above all, which is easy to be tested and tried, especially in the 3D world. There's so many temptations that could just stray you right out of alignment with that intention. And somehow, just as straight as a board, there was a commitment that was maintained, a contract, a covenant that was not broken. In the best of times and in the worst of times, it was solid. And now it's like everything that was attached to that covenant and to that contract that was already, it was already a part of the terms, or like, the payout or the settlement, so to speak. Or I like payout better because it's not really a settlement. What you could have settled for were the lesser frequencies that you were tempted by, but you didn't. This big payout, this judgment literally is now, and contrary to what I was saying before, like taking a little piece of the pie that you could have taken before, now you get in the whole of what is assigned to you, what is rightfully yours, whatever that is, whatever that is. But that's the reason why these, I guess, I don't know what you call them, like defendants, offenders, whatever they are of the past, have no place in the future, or just in the present as it is, because you've already cleared that energy, and it's already been judged and justified accordingly. And however it is that you're receiving in the presence of who you are in this moment is on account to what you've cleared of those unfavorable energies. So to then reacclimate them, or you with them, would ultimately be, an infraction against the judgment and justice that's already been declared and decreed. I hope that makes sense. And it's really so, still comes back to the Seven of Pentacles, because what you saw yourself doing it for seemed like a pentacle, but the reward on the other side of this judgment, on the other side of this transition, transformation, transfer of energy, as it is with the Eight of Wands, transfer of wealth, whatever it is, it's all of that and more, so it's like what you are willing to do for a very small return is about to blow your mind, what you ultimately end up receiving. Like you didn't even know all that you were really in it for, and all that you really had the potential to gain on account of doing something that, in the grand scheme of things, was just natural to your supreme self. So to have actually done it, achieved it, accomplished it, established it, now receiving all that was attached to that mission, or to that that assignment, it's like, it's out of this world. It's out of this world, literally. Oh my God, it's 10 of Cups. Stop it. It's out of this world. It's something that's going to bring so much fulfillment. We already saw the 9 of Cups, and it was like what you seeing for yourself at that point was like, wasn't even the full shebang, like the full 10, but it's like, no, this is too precious. This is too valuable. I'm too precious. I'm too valuable to surrender to these lesser forces, in spirit and in truth, whatever that amounts to be, because I felt some energy on that to surrender to these lesser forces when I know that there's a greater calling on my life. I don't necessarily know all the ins and outs of it, and I also know that I deserve more. I don't know exactly what more is, but I know it's better than this. I know it's greater than this. And here it is, the Ten of Cups. What's at the bottom, Spirit? Don't play me. Ah! It's the Ace of Wands. Yay! So much power, so much excitement, so much enthusiasm for life, a new zest for life, new zeal for life, that you feel completely in bliss about. So this is like having all the power and creativity and opportunity in the world, like limitlessly so, and being happy to exercise this right and this freedom, you know, in everything that you do, and there being happiness and bliss in the exercise of this freedom itself. It's not a chore, it's not a burden. It doesn't feel like, you know, it's like, whereas before there might have been, you know, a great degree of difficulty in carrying out this assignment, or, you know, just to stay in integrity against the odds. And now this is the payoff, that now you have unlimited resource of creativity and you know, inspiration to create, you know, to advance, to express your power at the most supreme level of expression, like on a God level of expression, unlimited, uninhibited, you know, without restriction, as opposed to here, it's like being able to express your creativity in a place where there is no competition, where everything that you do not only is productive and prosperous, and makes a great impact, but it also brings a lot of joy and happiness and even peace. Like you're literally enamored to create, inspired to create, and your creativity is inspiring. It's just like an endless cycle of, I don't even know what to call this. What is this? Like an endless cycle of ecstasy? Wow. Can you imagine that? Wow. Like just always being aroused in the purest sense of the expression. Like you wake up aroused. All through your day, you're aroused. You go to sleep aroused. You know, and I'm not talking about aroused to the point where you can't sleep, but that, you know, that good arousal that, you know, puts you out for the count, where you sleep well at night, if you know what I mean. You know, but then you wake up refreshed and ready for the day. Like, that's what wow, that's deep. That's just like an exceedingly abundant and like satisfying life in the most sensational way. That's what I really mean by that. Eternal ecstasy is your reward. Oh my God. All that for that, I'd do it all over again. Wow, eternal ecstasy. That's a term for you, ain't it? I'm gonna let you marinate on that, literally. Wow. I ain't mad at that at all. Well, I'm gonna leave that there as if there's anything more to say. All right, okay. Shoot, that right there makes every bad relationship, every whack job, every misfortune, everything you could possibly think of that you could consider to be disfavorable or unfavorable, whichever it is, about your life makes it all worth it for the possibility and projection of eternal ecstasy. Not a day going by without feeling completely enamored in bliss or with bliss, however that goes. I love it. All right, well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Until next time, as always, I'll leave you with peace.